Taste of Dragons Gaming Podcast. We eat sandwiches and play games. Taste of Dragons Gaming Podcast. A podcast for everyone's taste.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Taste of Dragons, the Toddcast, the video game podcast that all you triplets listen to. And this week, Season 3, everyone!
Come on and slam, and welcome to the jam.
Michael Jordan, get out of here. I mean, no, you can stay, please.
Please stay.
You can stay. It's okay.
Actually, I really enjoy your company.
There goes our first guest.
I brought him back.
You did. But who would have thought we'd be here, y'all? I mean, we've only been teasing this for like 3 months. It's fine. But we're finally here. Episode 1, Season 3. I can't believe it.
Feels good shedding off those episodes, starting back at 1. Even though there's a 3 in front of that 1 now, that 3 feels good.
It does.
Yeah, I just really love the number 3. It's just so 3-ish, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Check out our last podcast if you want to go deep on 3s.
It's true. Very true.
Or not. I mean, you could just not. The number 3 isn't all it's cracked up to be, guys.
Just looking forward to next year.
Season 4.
Oh, Season 4 is going to be the best. But
yeah.
Before we get started, though, I just wanted to give everybody a friendly reminder to hit that like button, give us a follow, and check out our social media, especially our Discord this week. We have been posting lots of random fun things, and we would love to have you join in on the conversation. We're going to be posting some recipes and whatnot soon, so please join us.
Yeah, we're going to be making a push for that Discord.
If we're super lucky, maybe Joe will drop that sweet brookie recipe.
Oh,
Maybe.
my
I got you.
goodness.
I got you all.
Maybe.
Rookie it up.
Part brownie, part cookie, mostly excellent.
It's true.
Yes.
And the only thing that makes it mostly is because you don't know which one of them you want more.
Yeah.
The brownie or the cookie.
It's the
Right?
indecision that makes it that little bit less.
But they're perfect together.
They're so good.
Like all of us and your ears.
I am of the idea that you take that to your grave, Joe. Just take that
No
recipe
way,
to your
you gotta
grave.
share good
Don't-
recipes.
Don't share it. Listen, don't share it unless people are going to pay for it.
All right. Everyone sign up for the Discord except Hassel.
Sell, you're out. No,
You're out.
No brookie recipe for you.
We did it all for the brookie. Come on.
the brookie.
Stop it. Get out. Cut the stream, Brian. Cut it.
And that's the end of Season 3. We'll see you in Season 4.
But no, we're going to get into it.
Are we skipping the 3?
No, we're getting into it. We're getting into
You
it.
and your
Literally,
number 4.
Season 3 just lasted 3 minutes, y'all.
3 minutes.
The twist of the year.
What a twist.
A whole summer leading up to Season 3 to just go immediately to Season 4.
No, we're getting into it, y'all. We're getting into it. As always, my name is Brian.
My name is Troy.
Amanda.
I'm Hassel.
And I'm Joe.
Y'all, finally, I know I said it before, but finally, it is happening. We've made it. Hey, look, Ma, we made it. And with Season 3, we're going to be changing it up a little bit.
Ooh, like a transformer.
Something like that.
Same content, just looks different.
Yeah.
That was
I
the
don't know.
nicest sounding Transformer change. Like, it's not like that. It's none of that
Oh
stuff.
my gosh,
It's
that
like,
was the most amazing Transformer
right?
sound.
It's not that weird stuff. It's just like, oh, listen to that little Transformer. That's the butter robot.
It's not the Michael Bay sounding Transformer.
Right?
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Joe, could you humor me and I'll do my Transformer sound and you do your Transformer sound at the same time? I'm just curious.
Yeah, we can do that.
All right, let's go. Someone count us.
All right.
4, 3, 2.
I feel like Troy was like a dot matrix printer from like the 1960s.
I didn't say what type of Transformer I was. Maybe I was that 1960s Transformer,
I like
you know?
that Transformer. He has a nice sound.
Been around for a while.
A very long time.
I don't need to be a car.
It sounds like Troy's Transformer is just named America Online.
Sorry, I picked up the phone and you got to start that over again.
Oh, man.
I forgot about that. That's funny.
But yeah, we're going to be changing it up, but not too much. So we're going to be still diving into the news a little bit every single week. We're going to be doing different segments at the very end. Sometimes it'll be our Dragon of the Week like normal. Sometimes we'll be delving into food fights instead, where we like have a little battle between different members of us.
Some friendly debates about video games.
Yeah. as well as tasty topics. We're bringing those back, everyone, and some other pretty fun things coming up, I think. So yeah, we're looking forward to it.
We're bringing back everything that you know and love and some tasty extras.
Ooh, they're probably so tasty. Nom 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 nom.
Are we talking about the brookie again?
Yep.
Yes, we are.
No, you don't get the brookies. No brookies for you. Sorry, Hassel, you lost your chance.
Sorry about that. But another thing we're bringing back is the question I want to start off with, y'all. So my question for you guys this week is, what TV show that never got a season 3 would you like to see brought back? Or a game that never got a third iteration?
You are assuming that I know how many seasons a TV show has.
Just throw one out there. It doesn't matter if it's correct.
This series hasn't gotten a season 4 yet.
Okay.
And 4 is objectively a better number than 3.
Agreed.
As
Damn
we've
it.
established at the beginning of this podcast. Ducktales.
Oh.
The new Ducktales. Oh, it's so excellent. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. David Tennant plays a Scrooge McDuck, and they gave all 3 of his nephews, Huey, Dewey, and Louie, each like distinctive personalities. And whoever wrote it, or whatever team wrote it, is clearly both understands us, is likely around our age, and is a genius. So
You're not wrong.
it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that show is just it's so funny. It's so well written, and it's just better if you were a kid watching those as watching the old DuckTales. There are so many callbacks and payoffs that it's just so worth it.
Agreed. You know, I would love to see a third iteration of Space Jam.
Come on and jam.
Yeah, Space Jam. But I want to see it with a different sport.
Okay.
All right? And I'm thinking, I don't know. Let's just go with
Curling.
No,
Oh, okay.
basketball. Basketball, sir. Curling would be amazing.
Wait, Basketball, that movie?
Yeah.
Was that the Trey Parker, Matt Stone movie?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I don't know if that movie aged very well.
It did not. I just want that sport. I don't mean them.
I don't think that sport aged very well.
I don't
Not at
remember
all.
that movie well enough to even remember how the sport was played. And now I don't think I'm going to go back and watch to
There's
find
a lot
out,
of
though.
drinking involved.
Oh, yeah. No, that's
So
part
much
of it.
drinking
He was
involved.
lewd.
Oh, was it? Yeah, no, I'm good.
I don't
All right,
want to
fine.
fall asleep.
We'll go to
No,
curling.
you can have it.
We'll go,
No. Enjoy your basketball.
You're not wrong. It's been a while since I've seen that movie. I was just thinking of something that would be fun, like a made-up sport. But you know what? Curling's close enough to a made-up sport. We're going to go curling.
Wow.
I just really-
Shots fired at them Canadians.
Shots
I love
fired at
curling.
curling. Oh my
He
god.
does. Yeah. Curling is one of the most amazing things to watch.
Yeah,
is.
and I just really want to see Elmer Fudd getting really frustrated trying to like sweep on ice.
Be very quiet. I'm hunting points.
I like that Brian is starting like his own franchise of Space Jam movies, very similar to like how Air Bud started with basketball, but then it became like soccer and like hockey and all of these other sports.
Oh, yeah. I'm down for that. You know, I would love Air Bud to do curling as well. I've said
That would be. I paid like good money to see that.
Dogs on ice. Yeah, that checks out.
Yeah. The
Absolutely.
real question is how do they attach the broom to the dog? But you know, don't tell me. I want to find out.
They already
I
have a
wanna
broom.
be
They
in
have their
suspense.
tail.
Wait, but what if there's like a little pit that wants to compete and they don't have a tail?
Oh, they're the ones that push the curling ball out, the disc.
I would
I
also
should
like
learn
to
more
say
about
that
curling.
I specifically told you not to tell me.
I know. I couldn't help myself.
For me, I really, really, really enjoyed the Mindhunter series on Netflix.
yeah.
Mindhunter had a great season 1, had a fantastic season 2, and then it was canceled for season 3.
Does that have anything to do with Minesweeper?
No, not Minesweeper.
No. But Minesweeper does have something to do with curling.
Right.
So
There's sweeping there. Does it have anything to do with Troll Hunter?
Does not. No.
If you took Minesweeper and Troll Hunter and then you put them together,
Mind Troller.
Season 3.
Mind Troller. Troll mining.
nailed it.
sorry, please continue.
So Mindhunter, if you don't know much about the show, it follows the 2 FBI agents who at the time almost kind of like created the branch of the FBI that studies like serial killers and like sequence murderers and stuff like that.
Yeah, the behavioral analysis units.
Exactly. That fancy saying thing. And basically, they have actors come in and play some of these serial killers. Like they had Ed Kemper on it. They had like what's the guy, Manson?
Yeah.
Charles Manson, the guy who they had play him was amazing.
They were so good, but each one of these people they're so amazing. There are talks about bringing them back for season 3, and I'm really hoping that it happens. But it's one of those shows that I'm like, man, it could go on forever. I'd watch it.
I agree.
I want a season 3 of Atlanta. I'm very mixed on this because it's not like it got canceled because it wasn't doing well. It's just artistically they're good, which I respect. But damn,
you respect, but not enough to not ask for a season 3.
Well, that's the thing. It just leaves you. The vision of Donald Glover and Lakeith Sutherland and was it Brian Tyree? Like they're so good that I just want more of anything they make. They don't even have to call it Atlanta. Just make some more stuff. I would love to see it. They're such imaginative geniuses that I'm both happy that they finished when they were done, but damn, do I want another season? And they never said they wouldn't do one. Mm-hmm. It's just it's not necessarily doesn't need one, but I just want more content from that universe. And they've done cool things like even though season 2 is over, they've done like their characters in real life as if they're living on beyond the screen because they're just really cool like that. Like they've shown up at award shows, like certain characters that are in the actual show itself. And I just think that's cool. And I just want it to continue living. So I don't know. I want it, but I also respect that there's no more.
And what if they like move to like the suburbs a little bit and they just call it like Macon?
or what if they do that thing where they like wait 10 years and then they have like a reunion episode? It's like 45 minutes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Then they don't have to like infringe on their artistic vision, but then you also get like that one more episode, and then you're like that.
It's also their season 2 got so weird. I just can't even imagine where season 3 would go, which is probably why they stopped.
Which is probably a good 45-minute, longer. Yeah.
I like it. And what about you, Joe?
I would like to see a really, I don't know if it would be considered a good or a bad show. It's one of those like weird shows. True Calling only had 2 seasons and it ended on a cliffhanger. And I have always wanted to know what happened. It's about a chick who relives every single day, but there's someone who dies usually, and so she finds out who dies, and because she works as a coroner, and every single day she relives a day. Like she'll wake up, it's the same day, knowing she has to stop somebody from dying who showed up in her morgue. So yeah. I can't tell you what the cliffhanger is because it completely ruins like the whole show. But it's really cool. It's a really interesting. It's Elijah Dushku, I think. But when you get to like the big giant cliffhanger thing at the end of the second season, they just stopped. They just didn't make another season. I was like, really?
What was that?
Yeah. I was not a happy camper.
Would you say that you're dying for a season 3?
If I was dead in the morgue, she would have to relive the day to stop me so season 3 could happen. Yes.
Nice. That's the premise right there.
That is the premise. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, thank you guys for sharing your love of whatever that was.
Wow, you should marry people.
I should.
Brian.
I should. Whatever
Season
that was,
3, y'all.
guys,
Season 3.
You guys can just do it.
You guys seem to have a thing. I don't know.
I could see you guys both have eyes. I mean, good job. I don't know.
Glad you guys are here. I don't know. Did you guys kiss or you don't have to?
You
I don't know. I don't need to see that.
Just walk away. I'll sign whatever papers.
Are you happy? I'm happy. We're good. Go live whatever you're going to. Bye.
There's a dance, I think, right?
Is my parking validated?
Can I leave? Can I just leave, please? I didn't even want to be here.
You should be a professional, like, toast man. Just go around to people's weddings giving toasts. And you guys are a thing.
Imagine someone walking around with a tray of toast. And, like I love toast. And then they would give me a piece of toast. It would be amazing.
If Joe Toast and Brian Toast became one person, it would be a little piece of toast that went around to wedding receptions.
Yes!
And gave strange compliment.
Anamorphic toast.
No, actually, we would
like
be a
Mr.
team.
Peanut.
We would be a team because I would be giving the terrible part, but I'd be like, it's fine. Joe's actually giving away
actual
actual
The
toast.
good toast.
She's making it
Got
better.
you.
My mind immediately went to the toast man being someone like in a bathroom, like a bathroom attendant that just offers you toast as your
Ew.
All right. Toilet toast.
I'm not here for toilet toast. I'm good. Ew.
I thought that was called a cake, not a toast.
Yeah.
What?
Urinal cake.
Oh, gosh. I don't like where this has gone. I also don't like the idea of being in a toilet and just hearing someone crunch on toast.
This is
around
not
him.
for that time. No.
Segment, please.
Maybe the toast man is like a Walmart greeter. As soon as you come in, you get a piece of toast. Huh?
I also don't want Walmart door toast.
I probably take that toast.
Troy would take that toast.
Would you like butter or jam, sir?
Both. Thank you.
Does the butter go first, or does the jam go first?
The butter first.
Okay, I just want you to know.
Soaks into the bread, and
you've
then you can put the jam on top.
You've angered at least half of our UK listeners. It's a trick.
Oh, no.
There's no right answer.
Oh, no.
But let's get into it, everyone. So, we're going to start off with, what are you playing? And with that, we mean just one person. What one person are you playing? I know.
This is getting intense.
It's getting intense. Welcome to season 3,
Oh my
everyone,
gosh.
of Mindhunters.
I feel like I'm being interrogated, like we're in a room. It's like one of you have played a game this week, and we're going to find out who. The spotlight goes on.
It's a mystery.
It's me, guys. I did it.
Oh, it's you.
Sorry.
Okay.
But since we're already talking about mysteries, the game that I played this week was Sherlock Holmes, The Devil's Daughter. It released on June 10th, 2016 for Microsoft, Windows, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4. And I don't know if you know this about me, but I play a lot of these Sherlock Holmes games, and I
Okay.
didn't know until recently that they're all made by the same studio. There are a ridiculous amount of them. The one that I just played, The Devil's Daughter, is based on some of the short stories about Sherlock Holmes. And it's really cool. It has like this deductive thinking while you're playing the game. So obviously you're Sherlock Holmes. If our podcast listeners don't know who Holmes is, I can't help you. So you're going around. It's not very action oriented. It's mostly about like puzzling and crime solving. Whenever you see people, it like zooms out to like a silhouette of them, and you can kind of like pick them apart. You can
Okay.
see like oh, I can see that there's dirt under their nails, or I can see like that their face is puffy, or I can see like the type of clothes they're wearing. And something they do that's really cool is like sometimes you can't tell what it is. Like, are they sick or were they crying? Or like she's not wearing her wedding ring anymore. Did she lose it, or are they having marital problems? And you guess. And sometimes you're wrong.
So this person sounds like a male version of Nancy Drew. Is that right?
That's the most insulting way to describe this, as he was the original detective.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. So you can go and make these deductions about people, and then obviously also there's the crime scene. So it does have that detective trope of everywhere he goes, someone dies, someone's murdered in every case.
You can't even take a vacation,
Right,
y'all.
right. He's in a bowling tournament, like lawn bowling, which is bocce for
bocce.
for U.S. folks, and someone dies. Someone dies the next day. It's just like it was just
So-
trying to go bowling.
Would you say that if your character would just stay home, that so many lives would be saved?
Yes, probably.
At some point, you have to start deducing the common denominator between all these murders. And Sherlock, but I'm sorry to say it, but maybe you've been.
This is a good way, a good mini tangent segue. Is they do, and spoiler alert for those of you who haven't watched the recent BBC television show Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock. They do talk about that in one of the seasons. Is
Okay,
that
cool.
the common denominator in all of the crimes is that he's solving them, so that kind of like twist it on its head to be like, are you sure he's not doing it? And then the people
Right.
around him are like, wait, what? And they're
Wait
like,
a
you
second.
just are trusting that he's really smart, and all the
Like-
people that he catch are like, no, it wasn't me.
Find out
So,
his real
like,
name is Sherlock Homicide.
Hey.
Ba, ba, ba.
But that's probably one of the best parts of these games, is that Sherlock Holmes is such like this universal entity that is wonderful to kind of engage more with that world. But before I dive too much into the developers behind this game, or even the video game itself, I kind of wanted to talk to you guys about it. What is your experience with the Sherlock and the Holmes and such? Do you like the movies, the books, the what have you?
I feel like I've always known Sherlock Holmes. I don't remember specifically reading the books, but he's just been either part of pop culture. He's probably been in plenty of like Looney Tunes like shorts, probably alluded to or whatever. And then I think I may have read a couple of them in school, maybe. And then, of course, there's just been so many movies, and I think there was a young Sherlock Holmes TV show.
There was.
that I probably watched a bunch as a kid. But growing up with phrases like "elementary, my dear," and "oh, dear Watson," or "oh, Watson," or whatever it is, are just things that you just kind of grow up with, at least for me.
I am required to say this because our podcast is on the internet, but the phrase "elementary, my dear Watson" does not appear in any of the Sherlock Holmes
Get
novels.
out of
Thank you.
here.
No,
That
I was going
about
to say the
like,
same
that's
thing.
not what Sherlock Holmes actually ever said.
He's never said
Why
that.
is it such a thing?
It was in the movies.
The
Yes.
Peter
the
Cushing?
old movies.
and the
Or Mayhew, there we
Jeremy, the guy who's actually the most Holmes of all the Holmes. Jeremy, I cannot remember.
Piven.
Piven?
No.
Rat? I don't know. I don't remember the guy's last name, but
Not
he is the
Entourage's
most.
Jimmy's Jeremy Piven.
Jeremy Irons.
No, I
Scott.
wish. Oh my God, I would watch every Sherlock Holmes again if it was all done with Jeremy Irons.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
But the actor who portrayed Sherlock, was it
Peter.
the first one or the
No, he's
more
not.
famous one?
He's the most famous one, the one that added the deer hat and the pipe and the.
All the tropes.
A lot of the tropes were added by the television series that were put on by it.
So top hat, smoking pipe, not in the books? Get out of here.
Yeah, no.
Who is this is the real mystery for me. Who is Sherlock Holmes?
I actually have an answer to that. Yeah. So Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was two things. He was an author and he was also a physician, which makes Sherlock Holmes make more sense because he understood the
body.
forensics behind criminality because he, was a physician. And he based the character of Sherlock Holmes off of one of his professors when he was at university. He had a great relationship with this guy and he spoke the way that Sherlock does.
Yeah.
There's also, and this isn't necessarily true, this is more conjecture, but there is a suggestion that Holmes is a mixture between that professor and Oscar Wilde, because Arthur Conan Doyle was known to have met Oscar Wilde before he wrote the second book, and his style of writing changed. They like to think that he met this super charismatic man. It was like, you know what? Holmes should also be like a bit of an ass. He should be like a jerk.
I think one of my favorite parts about Sherlock Holmes is that Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was like, I'm done with Sherlock Holmes. I don't want to write anymore. I'm done with it. I'm going to kill him off. And then, 5-10 years later, they're like, hey, why don't you bring him back?
It wasn't 5 or 10 years
Yeah,
later. It was an immediate,
immediate?
public outcry
that's what
for
it was,
how
that's what it was,
dare
yeah.
he do this.
So funny enough, in 1981, Conan Doyle, like you mentioned,
Yeah.
decided he didn't want to write these anymore. He was a real physician. He was like, I want to write more historical novels, more nonfiction. So he went to his publisher and he's like, I need you to pay me this exorbitant rate to continue to write these. And they were like, yeah, that's fine. So he, at his time, he was one of the highest paid authors. So 5 more years went by and then he was like, you know what, I'm really done. And like you mentioned, he wrote the last story that he intended to write. Sherlock and his longtime nemesis both passed away at the end of the story. And the public outcry, like Joe mentioned, was immediate. He did his very best. He did avoid writing Sherlock for 10 years.
There we go. Yeah,
but then
that's-
after that, he fell back into it. The first story that he wrote after he came back was The Hound of Bastervilles, which I thought was I can't imagine not having that. But
The Hound of
That's one of
Bastervilles
his
is
classic.
one of the best Sherlock Holmes books. I've read. I'm a very big Sherlock Holmes fan, so I've read all of them, and I have no life. And this is I like to read a lot. So when I was a teenager, I kind of got into reading those, and The Hound of Bastervilles is one of the best Sherlock Holmes books because you could see how Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, how his writing had progressed throughout it. Because the first couple of Holmes books are actually kind of hard to read.
Yeah,
They're really not fun. And like side things, like I really liked Irene Adler a lot, and she's a really fun character for him to have run into. And I thought she was so cool in the way Holmes dealt with most people. He had his own form of justice. Like he wasn't all like Johnny Q. Law.
Oh, yeah, absolutely not.
He would enact vengeance in his own way for some people, and it was like, whoa, dude, that's okay, Sherlock Holmes, you figured it out. You're not going to tell anybody. You're just going to go make them pay for it. All right, buddy, you do you.
I think that's one of the things that makes him so interesting.
Until this very moment, I did not know how little I knew about Sherlock Holmes. The extent of my knowledge about Sherlock Holmes is that there was a joke about one of the movies that Tracy Morgan plays in 30 Rock, and it's Sherlock Homie is the name of the movie. And that's the extent of what I know about Sherlock Holmes. And now I'm like, these past 5 minutes, it's just like that gif of like Zach Galifianakis just looking at equations coming at him. Like that's been me.
That's one the fun parts about the game actually is that like you feel like those equations are coming at your head, and then through gameplay you feel like you're also like sending them back out, like you've deciphered them. And obviously like to a certain degree, I'm not actually, there's a linear path, so I mean I'm gonna get a solution. May not be the right solution, but I'm gonna get a solution. But the game really makes you feel like you're the one doing the detecting, which is a nice segue over to the developers of the game. So this game is made by Frogwares. It's an independent game studio based in Kiev, Ukraine. Were founded by
Ukraine. All right. Hello.
They were founded by French expatriates, and the name Frogwares comes from the term froggies to talk about French people. So this is software made by French.
That's funny.
French individuals. Something fun about Frogware that you may not know is that the game that I played came out in 2016. It's the most recent Sherlock Holmes game that they have made.
Okay.
But they have made a total of 10 Sherlock Holmes games since
Whoa.
the year 2000.
Whoa.
Take that, Last of Us.
Right?
Only
Take
making 2 games out here.
Yeah, take that, Nancy Drew.
They now have
Well, I think Nancy Drew has way more than that.
why you keep bringing up Nancy Drew?
That was me.
But in total, they have sold more than 7 million units worldwide of all of their Sherlock Holmes games. And fun fact, in his lifetime, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle only released 9 novels. There were 52 independent Sherlock Holmes stories, but they were only in 9 novels. But this studio has made 10 Sherlock Holmes games, so technically more games than novels.
Whoa.
Oh.
Whoa.
Do they mostly follow the books? Like, is it 1 game per book, or are they doing their own thing, own narrative?
I could be wrong, but I think there was a certain point in time where Sherlock Holmes was more of a periodical than a book. So there, like I said, there are 52 independent short stories that make up Sherlock Holmes. They do not do that many stories in a video game. So there are enough stories for them to continue to make Holmes games. But
that is exciting.
They do not follow the books so closely that they're one for one.
Okay.
Having read several of the short stories, I can see the patterns of what they're doing, and they do relate very closely to books. But they're not like, you're not playing the novel, you're playing
An interpretation.
An interpretation, yeah.
Gotcha.
Which brings me to very exciting news. They have a Sherlock Holmes game that is going to drop this year.
What?
It's called Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1. And they're doing some really fun, exciting new stuff. They're going to be opening up the world. They've had linear paths in their video games before, and now it's going to be set in this Mediterranean open world on an island. It's supposed to be absolutely beautiful, and they're taking the whole franchise back down to 1. So Sherlock Holmes is going to be 21 years old. This is going to be like some of his first cases. This is before he's the big bad detective who understands everything.
Young Sherlock.
And they're doing something that sounded really interesting. They said instead of like you interviewing a single person and getting information, well, they'll still have that. They're going to introduce this new system called pinning clues. So you're going to get information. You're going to be able to pin it on your menu. And then when you talk to random NPCs, they might be able to give you information based on the type of person that they are. So they're building this like new interesting system. So like, let's say I found a box of matches on the ground and it was for a pub by the docks. Mm-hmm. If I talk to any sailor in the game, they might be like, hey, I've been there. And they said that they base these around like social standing, like type of person, profession. So instead of you being like, hey, here's item A, you have to go to person B and hand it to them in order to progress the game. Mm-hmm. They're hoping that it's going to be like much more open.
Gotcha.
So you will
kinda
feel
natural.
like you're the one making these conversations and deductions and detections and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching you kind of in the background play this game, Mandy, and it really did look super robust. I'm surprised that you said it was a 2016 game. Like, I was looking at you play it, and I was like, this seems like it could have come out like last year or something. It reminded me a little bit of Yakuza, where like you have a pretty close world, and you have a really interesting narrative. And there's like a lot of little mini games within the structure. Like every time I looked over, you were either like playing bocce or you were doing some race thing. Like there were so many little elements to the larger picture that I found really interesting while you were playing. And were all those little mini games like ways of you detecting or getting information, or Or what was that like?
They really try to have you do everything
Right.
that Holmes does in a way that's actually really fun. I could see how if they did it wrong, it would be tedious, but it's actually really nice. Where, like, if I get a handkerchief that has something on it, I can go to my laboratory, and then I'll actually put the handkerchief down, I'll drop chemicals on it, I'll put it under the microscope, and then I'll check to see it. Where other games would be like, click X to investigate. Like, you go through all of the steps. And I guess I should preface it by saying these games aren't very long. They're usually about $30, and they're, I think, like 3 or 4 cases. So I beat this in 2 nights.
Okay.
So some of it I feel like fills out the pacing really well, and it really gives you like the you really step into the role of the character rather than like, and it's not very action oriented. So rather than going here and shooting these 8 guys and then getting a cutscene, you're really like in the day by day immersion.
That's cool.
For this game, all the load screens were carriage rides. So whenever you
that's cool.
and you could look at your. This is something I love when games do. You can look at your case notes while you're loading.
I love that.
So you
That's
never
awesome.
stopped being him to load. Even you just kind of
Wow.
like experience the whole story.
Man, you're really selling me on this Sherlock Holmes game.
And I don't mind games only being like 2 nights long, like you were saying, or whatever, because some games just like pad the heck out of their runtime. It's like, this could have been a better game and been shorter. So I like when games do that, where it's like it respects your time almost.
Yeah, this one's really tight. There's no collectibles. There's no like side quests. It's you're just playing the main story. You get to choose how you do it. There's no specific order to events. You can talk to people in any different way. You can investigate clues however you like. But it is definitely like only the important stuff, which is really nice.
Did you
Gotcha.
find anything in the game that you may have wished was a little better, or any things that you kind of fell into that you think could have been a little better or smoother for you while playing?
I hate to say this because everything about the games are so wonderful, but in order to be honest, I should say that the game does have minor like hitches in it. Nothing was broken. I never encountered a bug, but there are definitely like interfaces where I went to use something and it was frustrating to be like, I don't get why it's not working. And the longer I played the game, the less it happened because I
Right, you
just
figure it out.
understood
Yeah.
how they wanted me to play. But there were definitely elements where I was like, oh, I feel like I'm not clicking it right, and according to the internet, that's rather prevalent through all of their games. I played 4 of these, and I.
So the learning curve was like a little clunky, but once you got there, it made sense.
Yes. So, but also like this is a game made by 80 people, which is like
Right.
phenomenal. And I shouldn't compare it to a AAA
No,
game
no,
made
no,
by
no.
thousands of people. It's
Yeah.
not going to play the same.
Yeah.
And considering that it's made by 80 folks, I think it's fantastic.
Yeah,
And
that's cool.
like I said, after a few minutes, I figured it out.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
There was another aspect that was really interesting to me when I saw you playing is you could really customize Holmes. Like
Yeah.
hats and monocles
I
and
thought
stuff.
I thought you were talking about his home, and I was like, "Ooh, you can customize homes in this? Is this The Sims now? Are we playing The Sims?
What
What's
color
Wait a
going
second.
on
chaise
here?
lounge would you like?
Hang on. Is this Sherlock Holmes a home remodeling game?
It is.
No, it is not.
It's an architecture game. It's
But the game does have disguises. So when you go out to talk to people, you can dress like Holmes, or you can put on like a bald cap and glasses and a beard and then dress like a sailor. And the game will tell you whether you've changed yourself enough to be disguised.
That's
Gotcha.
so cool. Gosh, this sounds awesome.
It's a phenomenal game.
Do you think you'd go and play the other games that are in this title? Because this is the latest one you played was from 2016. Would you go back and play like the others?
I've played the last 4 games that they've made.
Dang, look at this. Look, Amanda out here.
I like these. And the one, if I backtrack, the one that I haven't played was made in 2009, and I'm just not that person that likes to play old games.
Okay.
So I'd rather wait till the new one comes out than to go back and play the old
Gotcha.
one. But
it's like
I said, there
Doctor
are
Who.
10.
You don't have to start at the beginning.
Correct. They're all mini pieces. I mean, you won't miss anything if
Right.
you pick up one of the ones in the middle.
Gotcha.
That's pretty great. Yeah, because I love how, like you were saying earlier, Sherlock Holmes is just part of the nomenclature of nowadays. Everybody knows of Sherlock Holmes, even if you've never read a book. I've never read a book. I just know a lot about what happened to Sherlock Holmes and what happened to Sir Carth. The guy's name.
I was going to say, did you know because you hear me yelling about how it's wrong?
No, I've known about this before. I knew about this before.
Sir MacArthur Milk. I don't know.
Him writing this and everything, I loved finding out about that. But actually reading the books, No, I just haven't done it.
I guess I can plug one more thing. If I haven't already convinced you to play a Sherlock Holmes video game or to read a Sherlock Holmes book, Audible also has a Sherlock Holmes audiobook that's read by Stephen Fry. And if ever there was a person in the universe who was probably the largest Sherlock Holmes fan, it might be Stephen Fry. And he had a quote that I thought was wonderful. He said that time and time again, generations have shown how much that we need Holmes, because every generation finds their own way to reinvent and use him.
Yeah.
And I feel like one of our generation's juices of Holmes is this series of video games.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Amazing.
Gosh, you've convinced me.
Yeah.
I want to play it. I want to read it.
This was all a ploy.
I never finished the Benedict Cumberbatch seasons. I think I went through 3 of them. There's like 4 or something. I need to finish those because they're awesome too. All things Holmes for the next month, man. This is what's happening.
Home sweet homes.
Hey.
If you had to rate this on a scale of sandwiches, your rating of this game, what would you give it? On like a 1 to 5 sandwich rating.
I would give it 5 Reuben sandwiches. And I say 5 Reubens because Reuben is a sandwich that I really enjoy.
Yes.
And I think it is absolutely worth 5 of them. But if you're not into Reubens, then I totally get it.
Gotcha.
That's a good sandwich scale.
Yeah.
I like that. We should use it going forward.
What?
What?
Are we on brand again?
We might
Woo!
be. Doesn't happen often, folks. Doesn't
Or
happen.
maybe it will. Season 3.
That's right. That's
Season
gonna be
3,
the hook.
y'all.
On brand. That's the
It
theme.
is here.
Oh, like brand bread?
Yes.
On brand.
Yes. Yes.
So, y'all, let's go on to what would normally be the news segments, but we're going to find out a little bit more about ourselves. If this is your very first episode that you've listened to us, we'd like to tell you what our tastes are, what our interests in different video games are.
Whether you've been on boards all this time and you're coming in with the 3rd season, or this is your first one, you might as well get to know us.
Yeah. We might find out something new you
We're
didn't
happy
know
you're
before.
here.
Yeah. Like I myself, I hate Final Fantasy VII. It's the worst game. No, it's my favorite game.
Robot Brian needs to calibrate.
I do. I'm a little down right now. But I love those types of games. I grew up on RPGs, but lately, as much as I love RPGs, I don't have the time to play them. Like I was saying earlier, just something about respecting my time. Not that RPGs don't,
They
but
don't.
like they don't. Hey, walk across this entire giant map for one thing that I want you to get now. You could have gotten it earlier, but now you're going to get it.
I know this isn't important to the story, but you're going to have to kill 75 cactar.
Yeah, you just got to do it. It just has to happen. So lately I've been enjoying games that are kind of free-form open, kind of like your Valheims, where it's just like survival crafting, but not even with survival. I just
Kinda set your own pace.
Exactly. It's just cool. I want to be in this world for however long I want to be in, get some stuff done, and then it's just relaxing. And I've been loving those types of games now.
So you like games that are on your time scale.
Correct.
What systems do you play on normally?
Okay, so normally, I've had Microsoft's Game Pass for the last probably about 4 or 5 years, and so I've been using that on the PC. Every single one of those games that have come out on the PC, I've been playing, and I've also had a PlayStation for a very long time. We have a PlayStation 5 currently, but we just recently got a Xbox Series X.
Whoa. Welcome to the Xbox fam.
So we're going to be playing on that going forward as well.
We need someone on this podcast too.
We do.
We got you.
We're very Xbox underrepresented.
Forza is soon.
What did I say? Yes, Forza.
Yeah, so I've been a little bit in it because of the Game Pass stuff, but not everything because, Xbox has its own stuff. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to dipping my toes in that.
Nice, man.
So I'm Hassel. I am your sports dragon. I am the Michael Jordan dragon. I should say like the Michael B. Jordan dragon though, like not like the Michael Jordan. So like I'll be in Friday Night Lights, so to speak, and then I'll do something else like another movie, but then I'll just make that Fantastic Four movie that everybody likes to forget. Like it's hit or miss.
Fantastic Forza Motorsports.
That's Fan Force Stick.
Exactly.
Say it right.
How you felt when I talked about Sherlock is how I felt during that entire sentence.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So you just tuned out.
Oh wow. No.
Jeez, Hassel, tell us how you really feel. It's like I just texted. He's checking his
No, I
texts.
told you guys
Anything
I
going
learned a
on
lot about
Facebook?
Sherlock. I actually researched. I wish you guys could see my computer. I have so many windows open to not Sherlock.
It's right next to all the Witcher tabs, right?
Yeah, it's all
right on there.
it's next to all my Witcher tabs. No, so I currently game pretty much on a PlayStation 5. I do have a Switch, and during the pandemic, I actually got together the parts to build my own PC, which I did live on Twitch, which was pretty amazing. So I'm getting a little more into gaming on a PC, kind of like getting everything together there, because I haven't really used the PC since Windows ME in the year 2000.
Fair.
So
Yeah, because you were a Mac guy.
I've been a Mac guy true and true, but you know they have a lot of limitations. So
They do, like, especially when it comes to games. So
yeah.
No, that's awesome.
But yeah, so most of the times I'll be gaming. I do like a lot of sports games, so I'm a fan of MLB The Show, FIFA, Rocket League recently, and forever, and like NBA 2K. Like any sports games will always draw my attention. Like recently, we've got gifted through the PlayStation Network a racing game, but it's like a tractor racing game, and I was like, hell yeah.
Is this just farming simulator?
It's essentially just like a farming simulator, but it's just like truck racing. You know those little, like, if you go to like a dirt track and on like a Friday night, you see like those little like caged cars that are like running around the track. That's essentially it. It was pretty awesome.
That's awesome.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. Most recently, I just started playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla again because sports games take up so much of my time. I'll put every other game on the back burner. And Valhalla just kind of like caught my attention with the whole France thing. So I was like, oh yeah, let me get back into this. And you'll be glad that I've completed less than like 10% of the map.
Less than 10% of the map is still about 40 hours. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Talking about a game that doesn't respect your time. Valhalla.
It's not that bad.
It's pretty bad. I've seen what you've been doing, Joe. It's pretty bad.
I've put in exactly 43 hours and like change in this game and have not even completed like a big part of England. Like I still look around and like I'm at like power level like 60 something and I'm like,
it's rough.
Yeah, no.
It's rough.
60 something.
Yeah, I
Poser.
know, Amanda. You guys in your 400 levels. I get it.
475.
Oh, she's not. She's just
But who's
putting
counting?
it out there.
But
Yeah,
no
why
one's
not?
counting. No one's counting. It's fine.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows. It could be any number, but over 400.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Any number above a 4. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, clearly.
My name is Joe. I am the editor and producer-esque person here. I do a lot of the editing, so I don't have a ton of time always to play, but I'm a Nintendo fan. I've had a PlayStation for a very long time. I had an Xbox 360 and still do, and only play Naruto on it still. I play fighting games. I play Dark Souls-esque games that punish you and make you sad and angry, but when you beat them, you're like, I am a god. I am that person.
She gets real angry.
Oh,
She
I get
gets
so
real
mad.
angry.
I've thrown controllers. It's not a good thing. Thank God I have editing. Thank goodness for editing. It keeps me busy. It's wonderful. But I like puzzlers. I like Tetris. I'm a very big fan of Dr. Mario and Mr. Driller. And you know what? Actually add like some sort of signifier at the front of somebody's name. And usually I've played that game. I love arcade games too. So I play a plethora of things, you could say.
Yeah. And if it's a Nintendo franchise or a flagship, you're all about it.
Yeah, I'm a Nintendo fan at heart.
Yeah.
I do a lot of Nintendo games. Give me WarioWare, give me my Smash Brothers, Animal Crossing. I'm there. So yeah, that is that's I play a little bit of everything. I do really like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and I don't think it's that bad. It's a very pretty game. I really like jumping off things and being like, "Ooh, it's so pretty! Look at my little birdie." You know. I also don't do a lot of the main story in almost any game until I'm super leveled up. So, yeah, if I happen to fall into them and I'm not the right level, I'll sit there all night and play it until I am. So,
Yeah, you will.
yeah. And things I was reminded of this week. Ghost of Tsushima is one of my favorite games of all time.
Nice.
Yeah,
So that would make it on the list.
it's high up on the list.
High on
now,
the list?
So, yeah.
Awesome.
My name is Troy, and my gaming tastes include like open world action RPGs, where we're talking, like you said, Assassin's Creed is one of my favorite franchises, Breath of the Wild, where you just kind of go around and get to explore worlds, see new things, Greedfall. Those are my jam when it comes to like the big kind of sprawling game types. My smaller tastes include. I feel like I'm on a dating.
I think when you started it off, it's just like, all right, I'll swipe right. Let's do this.
It's a video game dating site.
That's season 3 of Dragons, y'all.
Oh my gosh, it's just my gamer tag is my picture, not even me. It's oh gosh, it's so good. My smaller tastes include independent games that are just really personal. I love stories and the kind of more like personal that I feel, or sad is another way to put it. Sure,
sad games,
break your heart games.
I love that.
Great games that make you cry.
Sometimes, okay, things get personal, and it can be sad. It could be happy too.
Usually it's sad.
But you'll cry if it's happy too, so it's still tears.
It's still tears. I will cry
beautiful.
either way. But I love that feeling when I'm playing a game or even when I'm watching a movie where I just can like feel the intention of that person, that those one or two people that made this piece of art, and it's just like so direct, and I feel almost like I feel a lot of gratitude that they like shared this little piece of them with us, and I get to like be a part of it and witness it and try to understand where they're coming from. Like, I love games that go there. The third type of taste that I like is like experimental games.
Yeah.
I like games that are trying to like push the envelope artistically or gameplay wise, and just trying things that you just won't see anywhere else. And a lot of times it may not work, but I love trying to just get in there and then seeing what you're trying to do, because that to me is how like the industry is how I see like the industry kind of pushing itself forward to grow, is with these small little games that are just doing stuff, just doing unique things. So those 3 tastes and everything in between is what I play. I'm a big PlayStation guy. Have been since like day one, and recently got into PC games, stuff on Steam and Game Pass, and so
A convert.
the PlayStation blood in me is like red hot right now. That is my gaming taste and profile. I'm taken.
Why did you do all of that? I was on the edge of my seat waiting.
Unavailable.
What a
Thank
tease.
you for asking.
I know.
I'm Amanda. I play lots of different games, but mostly I like RPGs, even though they're cruel and they take up a lot of my time. I like farming simulators. I have played way too many farming simulators, and if you couldn't guess by the game that I mentioned earlier in the podcast, is I love like mystery, detective, problem solving, like thinking games. The Sherlock Holmes games, the Professor Layton games.
Brain ticklers.
And indie games. As Troy mentioned, there's something really wonderful about the games that are like moving us forward and pushing the envelope. And I love things that are made by smaller studios. I feel like you get things out of small studios that you don't get out of a AAA studio. They'll take more risks, and then you'll be able to see things that are like new and interesting and innovative. But for indie games, I do have indie tastes. If it has small, cute animals in it, I'm hooked. If it has witches in it, like I'm gonna buy it. I like hand drawn art. Like if the whole thing's hand drawn, then like here's my $20. And then recently I said maybe the first year of our podcast I said that I didn't like pixel art, and then the universe opened up and decided to prove me wrong every moment of every day since then. So there are some games, indie games specifically, that do like beautiful pixel art now, and like those will pull me in. I do most of our tweeting. If you visit us on Twitter, that is me. Troy and I live in the same household, so we have the same consoles, but we do mostly PlayStation and Game Pass, Steam, and we have Switches. We do the Switch.
I forgot about Nintendo Switch.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I also have a Switch. I just I have
Totally
so many
forgot.
other games. I just have so many other games.
So we've given you all of our personalities. So as you're listening to the podcast, if you listen to Brian give advice on a game, you can be like, oh, I agreed with what Brian thought, but maybe if I don't like it, you'll know like, oh no, I'm not an Amanda. I'm a Brian, and Brian said it was okay,
No,
so I trust him.
Everybody's an Amanda. Nobody's a Brian.
I was gonna say everyone that
I'm
wants
fine
to
with
listen to
this.
the robot.
There are some other robots out there.
Are we like the Sex and the City of video game podcasts? Like, that's so Brian. Oh my God, you're such a Joe. You're such a Joe.
I don't know what that
I
is.
call
Is that that
call
show
Samantha.
with the ladies in the shoes?
Yes.
Okay, I think I know what that is.
It's more like Hogwarts houses, and
I
everyone's a
get that.
house. Yeah,
I get
Pretty
that.
much.
Nerd reference, I understand.
Yeah.
I'm the house that nobody wants, so I'm Ravenclaw.
Hufflepuff is the house that nobody wants.
No, nobody wants Ravenclaw.
What are you talking about?
Ravenclaw is infinitely more
Yeah.
popular
I know,
than
I just-
Hufflepuff.
Brian, you're a Slytherin, just like me.
I know. That's
Stop.
why I was saying Ravenclaw.
No,
I think
are you
Troy's-
kidding me?
guys love you.
Oh, you were just being a Slytherin over
Yes,
there.
I
Hang
Yeah.
on a
Get
second.
under us.
Hufflepuff is the one no one wants.
Yes.
Yeah, Brian was
Wait,
just
wait,
being Slytherin
wait.
up in here.
So, what house are you?
I'm the most vanilla house. I hated it. I've taken so many tests, and everyone comes out Gryffindor.
Okay. Because Brian, Joe, and I are all Slytherin. Just
Yes,
to
we
let you know,
Yeah.
for the balance of the podcast, we're three-fifths evil.
Whoa. We're not evil. We get caught when we do something wrong, as opposed to Gryffindors.
Right.
Who's really cunning?
I think the reason why I keep on testing as Gryffindor is because I'm just dumb.
Well, I know why I am able to test as a Slytherin. I like the color green.
That too.
Nah. I always say it's because I have to win, but that doesn't mean that you have to lose. We can win
Agreed.
together. You just have to be here with me.
Agreed.
I just have to
entirely.
win. I don't care if anybody else
we
wins.
can all
I just
win,
have to win.
But we are gonna win.
Hassel,
I
you're,
want to
you're a
make sure
total
you
jock.
guys understand. I am a Gryffindor because if there is a fire, I run towards the fire
There you go.
like
There
an
you go.
idiot.
Also,
And
Troy made a good point.
You mentioned how much you're into sports games and sports stuff. That's straight up Gryffindor.
yeah,
It is.
You're like jock
it's the
material.
worst.
You balance out a podcast.
You do. You do.
But
Listen, it's like being like the unbuttered popcorn of the houses.
ugh. So it just gets stuck in your teeth.
Exactly.
Is it at least popped all the way?
Not even.
Oh, man.
Oh, you'll know better.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No thanks.
No, I'm out. Yeah, I'm going to stick with my Slytherin. We candy coat our stuff.
But y'all, thank you for taking that trip into our tastes. And now
Yeah.
that brings us to our final segment, which is our Dragon of the Week.
Now, Dragon of the Week is the segment where we shine a little light, show a little love to the video game industry and all the people who make the games that we love to play. The dragon I'm bringing to the table today is none other than Reiko Kodama, art designer and developer of such classic video games as Phantasy Star, which is with a PH, fantasy, just so you know, Skies of Arcadia, aka Sky Pirates, Alex Kidd, not to be confused with Kid Icarus, and Sonic the freaking Hedgehog. Come on. She is often recognized as one of the first successful female video game developers ever.
Wow.
Yeah. And you all ever played any of those games? Phantasy Star, Skies of Arcadia, any of those?
Skies of Arcadia
I've
and
played.
Sonic.
Yeah, I've played most of those actually. I love Skies of Arcadia. That was one of my favorite games.
I feel so dumb because I actually haven't heard of Skies of Arcadia before this. Or maybe I have. It just like went back into the recesses of my mind. But it looks amazing.
It's a fantastic game. It first came out on the Dreamcast.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then they ported it over to GameCube. And GameCube, it
That's
took
how I
off.
played it.
Yeah.
is
I
where
have
it was
never
going.
seen this before.
It's
You're with
so
me,
good.
Amanda. I totally missed it. But I was like, Sonic the Hedgehog. I think I've heard of that one.
You might have. It's a good chance.
Well, if you've played any of those games or games in those franchises, then you all just owe Reiko a high five. Just give her a high five next time she's walking down the street. Ask first, please. Reiko Kodama was born in 1963. That makes her maybe 10 years younger than my parents, I think. She was born and raised in Yokosuka, Kanagawa. Joe Bryan, I know you guys have visited Japan. You ever gotten to the Kanagawa area region?
Kanagawa, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yokozuna, no.
Okay.
So, but we've been near there, yes.
Yeah, so cool. We got to get to Japan, Mandy.
Yeah.
Dragons Abroad
Done.
next year. It's going to happen.
Yeah. Soon as we're allowed to leave the country.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, right. Damn
That
it.
too.
So her parents ran a coffee shop by day. This is where she kind of grew up. It was a coffee shop by day and a sake shop by night.
Oh, like a full izakaya?
Dope.
Exactly that. Also, side note, if this cafe is still open and hiring, I'm just, please, as soon as it opens up, that sounds like the perfect place to work. I'll put in extra shifts, work coffee and sake all day. You let me know. She grew up, she enjoyed playing arcade games as any child in those early days would. Galaga, Pac-Man were in full swing, and she was like, cool, these are fun, I'm 10. In high school, however, she got really interested in the art of advertising. She would see magazines or TV commercials and be like, oh, I see what you did there. I will buy that Tootsie Roll Pop. Thank you very much. But she also started to get deep into the art and life from ancient civilizations. And we're talking Incan, Egyptian, Aztec. So by the time she got to college, she kind of had this quandary. She was like, do I go fully into art and pursue that as my career, or go into archaeology?
Ooh.
A question. Which would you all choose?
Art.
Full art or archaeology?
Archaeology.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Archaeology. Just like combine them both.
You're just drawing dinosaur bones. That's what it looks like.
I'm sure they incorporate art into archaeology because a lot of it is like imagining
Right.
what this would have looked like. So the idea of recreating architecture based on like historical reference would be
Recreating the architecture, also looking at hieroglyphics is just learning a language that's art.
That's
which
true,
is
yeah.
which is kind of remarkable.
pictograph.
I think I would have gone archaeology, probably because that would have been around like, this is like the 80s, so it would have been around Indiana Jones time. I would have been like,
You know he's
yeah,
a really
sign me up.
bad archaeologist, right?
Yeah.
Do you know how many artifacts he just literally destroys throughout the first 3 movies? Just one-of-a-kind things just destroyed.
Just knocking them over. Hassel, what would you do? Art or archaeology?
I would probably do art. But I would specialize in drawing on bones that people have found.
Oh, the archaeology community is going to love you.
Exactly.
Yeah, every single bone is like a cast. He just wants to just
I
sign
sign my name on every
Hassel
single
was
bone.
here.
Yeah.
I would have rocked archaeology because my parents taught me I will never make any money with art.
Oh.
Yeah, and that sits in the back of my mind thinking about this question and how my parents would be disappointed if I said I wanted to be an artist. So I would have done whatever would have made them less disappointed.
Joe knows her 18-year-old self very well. Well, guess what Reiko did?
Pottery.
Nope. She flunked out of school.
Oh.
She couldn't choose. She was too indecisive and was just like, I don't know what to do. I'm not going to do either. And it ended up affecting her and she just dropped out.
Wow.
Which I feel very personally close to because that's pretty much what I did in my own life.
Yeah, I hear her as well.
But she did decide to go to a trade school, which focused specifically on advertising instead. She remembered just liking advertising in general and was like, teach me how to do that, how to design that. While there, she picked up a knack for graphic design. Now, by then, this was like early 80s in Japan, which at that time, a brand new industry was popping up everywhere. You may have heard of it. It was called video games. And we're talking Nintendo, Konami, Sega. I mean, the time was nigh for gaming to take off. And Reiko felt an interest starting to form in this new industry. A senior classmate of hers who had already graduated and gotten a job with Sega, Reiko reached out and was like, hey, what's this video game stuff? And they were like, come on. Just come on over. It's fine. Come on. And helped her get her foot in the door. And it just kind of took off from there. The first game she ended up working on was Champion Boxing, which was one of the first like boxing fighting games ever. It was made by Yu Suzuki, who would go on to make Virtual Fighter. And she designed the characters. And it was like kind of like cartoony, cute characters, but also it was like a fighting game, which you just didn't really have then.
Yeah.
She went on to work on different games like Altered Beast.
Ooh, that's such a good game.
Really?
Such a good game. Yeah. She helped do the art design for that.
Nice.
And at that time, what she was doing, and this is what she did with Sonic, the art design would be brought to her. Like, here is a 2D painting of, or a sketch of Sonic the Hedgehog. It was her job at the time to then take that and then figure out how to put that into the game.
Oh, I gotcha. So she had to like translate it into pixels.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly. And she did. So the Sonic that you're seeing is how she just took the concept art and said, I'll make it work within these limitations. And I could say, firsthand, as a lot of us can, she nailed it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
She nailed that Sonic, especially with the speed, too, that those pixels had to be like formulated and whatnot to make sure it still looked crisp and good. Was just nothing short of just brilliant work. At that time, you guys may know, Japanese turnover was very quickly. They were working on 5 to 6 games. So Sonic really wasn't a thing she was like, here we go. Yeah. It's going to be the biggest thing ever. She was just working. Yeah. And she worked on lots of games. Alex Kidd was another one of those. And she just kind of churned out a bunch of art for these games at the time. Back then in Japan, they had this thing going on where if you worked on a game, and then another developer played that game. Like if Nintendo played Sonic, and then at the end or whatever, they saw the credits and they saw the art design. They were like, "Oh, who worked on the art design? Oh, Kodama. Go hire her. You just offer her more money than they are, and we're going to take them." Yep. And it was effective. That actually worked really easily back then. So a lot of the companies ended up having their employees purposefully work under nom de plumes or aliases. Yeah. So people couldn't snipe their developers and their game makers. So she went under the name Phoenix Ray for a long time, which is such a good name.
I would just make that my name.
Yeah.
It's just my name now.
I'm just gonna be Phoenix. This is it. In 1987, she got a request to work on a game called Phantasy Star with a PH. And that was because a game called Dragon Quest was like really out there in the open. And Dragon Quest was like the biggest RPG of all time in Japan. And Sega was like, can we get in on that money? And they pretty much went to her and a team and were like, hey, how do we make this but not copy it, but don't like copy it too much? How do we you know what I mean? And she was brought on as the art designer. And she kind of looked at Dragon Quest and was like, all right, it's a fantasy-based hero. Here's, dude with the sword cutting things up. And the first thing that she thought of, she was like, I really like Star Wars. And she's been a long time Star Wars fan and was like, what if we take that fantasy thing and we put it in the future, but not the future, but let's put it in space, but not futuristic space, but so out there planetary wise that it's kind of old, like Star Wars does. You're on different planets. It looks like it's in the future, but also it feels like it's way from the past, a long time ago, far, far away. That same idea. Yeah. And that was kind of the idea that she decided to approach Phantasy Star with. And it was a really big, it definitely caught on. Other changes she decided to make is she made a female protagonist, a female hero named Alice, which once again, she wasn't necessarily saying that she was trying to become this female power forward or anything like that. She was just looking at Dragon Quest and was like, how do I make it different? Let's make it a female hero. How about that? That'll be pretty cool.
And no one bought that game, and then video games went under, and that was it. Yeah. Modern CEOs were right.
Gosh, I know, and that's how people react, as if there wasn't female protagonists in games. I don't understand why the culture was to just
never work.
Phantasy Star was such a big game, and it had a female hero. The idea that they didn't realize that you could keep doing that and it'd be fine. Video game industry, you could do that. Look, it worked.
Samus.
She even had an intersex character in the game, named Lutz. It was an androgynous name, and it was a character that at one point during the story would be able to decide to become male or female, which I thought was also way ahead of its time. I mean, in the realm of entertainment. And so, really great stuff that she was trying to do to stand out. She took that art design from Star Wars. The idea that Star Wars was based on the robes were kind of ancient Japanese culture. Yeah. She decided to take that idea, but instead pull from Japanese culture, Chinese ancient culture, Korean, and Indian to design the clothes for her characters in that game, but then set it in a science fiction world. And it really helped flavor the entire production. And
make it very different than Dragon Quest, which is usually very European, very knights, very...
Oh, yeah, that's very, medieval based.
Yeah. And it worked. Phantasy Star was a huge hit. It went on Phantasy Star 2, 3. She did the art design for 2 and worked on 3 a bit. And with Phantasy Star 4, she actually was like, yo, can I just do one of these? And she was the game director for Phantasy Star 4.
Oh, awesome.
And she took the helm, directed her own game, and it's still the favorite game that she has worked on till this day. After that, she moved on to become the role of producer and started development on a new game called Skies of Arcadia, which you all played and liked. And the game was so big. It was originally being designed on the Sega Saturn, but it was just getting so huge with what they wanted to do with it. They were like, it doesn't fit. She was like, look, Sega, I can't put this game on the Saturn. It's too big. And then I want to think that they looked at her and said, we got you. We're going to make a Dreamcast just for you. We're going to cast your dream for this next console. And they made the Sega Dreamcast. And finally, she was like, all right, it can go on that. And they made Skies of Arcadia. One direction that I think was really interesting that she took with it is she was looking at a lot of other games, RPGs around that time, and was seeing how CGI focused they were with cutscenes. Final Fantasy VII, Legends of Dragoon, even Tekken was like, look at these big cutscenes people are doing. And she was very much of the mind of like not taking control away from the player, and so she didn't want to rely on cutscenes as much. How do you all think when it comes to cutscenes? Do you like them, or do you feel like you would rather be in control at all times?
Do you want me to answer that, Troy?
I do.
Yeah.
I've been playing the Metal Gear Solid series for the past year.
Hideo Kojima is like the anti-Reiko Kodama when it comes to cutscenes.
Oh, you wanted a game? Here's a movie.
I'm a sucker for a cutscene, even if it's 71 minutes long.
It's true. I think it depended on the game, because I think it definitely lended itself to the Final Fantasy series, obviously. It worked very well for them because, especially with Final Fantasy VII, you have like these 4 triangles that represents a character, but then in these full motion scenes, you actually got to see what they look like. You got to see their environment, and you got to see them in detail. So I think back then that it did matter for specific games. But by the end of the PlayStation life cycle, like with Final Fantasy IX, I don't think you really needed them.
Right.
So like with the Dreamcast, I think they weren't needed at that point any longer. For myself.
I think I'm with Brian. I think it depends on not even necessarily the game, but the scene.
Yeah.
Is if I'm having an emotional conversation with someone and then the camera angles bring me more into that scene, I don't mind losing control for a few minutes while like you, in a very like Red Dead Redemption, like don't put me in control in that scene. I want to see that play out.
Like the cinematic quality of it.
But then like we recently played the new Soul Calibur game, and then there were like cut scenes through fights, and I was like, this is a fighting game. Let me do the fight.
Right. I don't want to
Like,
watch someone do a fight. Let me fight.
Or when they take away control to have you slowly walk down a hallway, like, no, I want to walk down that hallway.
It's a walking. I can do
So
that.
It's definitely like a little bit of both.
Yeah, I remember, I think it was Half-Life 2, where it's all first person, you're never in a cutscene. And there are ships falling down from the sky, there are people having dramatic scenes, and it's up to you to look at it, to actually frame it. You are the camera. I mean, that works because it's first person, but I remember it being one of the first times where I was like, there's no cutscenes in this, and I feel so invested. I feel like I am the cutscene.
Right.
And I really appreciated that as well. But I think she had a good point, because I think at that time, because Brian, as you mentioned, I think they were getting to the end of like cutscenes being a boon, it was becoming very trendy to just throw those in there, even if the game didn't need those.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or they were just popular. And I think she found herself wanting to be one of the first games to be like, hey guys, we don't need to go this far. Let's not rely on it. Let's take a step back. I think Skies of Arcadia still had some cutscenes, but it just wasn't.
Yeah, it was not nearly.
Focused on
No,
that.
it was not.
Which I thought was cool. Today, she is still working. She works on this at this company called Sega Ages, which is, I love that name because it's Sega Ages, and the word ages is just Sega backwards. It's good. It's good.
It's a palindrome.
It is. It's brilliant. And the idea that the idea of that company is that they make ports of old Sega games. So for like the PlayStation 2, she went and helped make the ports for like the original Sonic games, and I don't know. I didn't play Sega. Who played Sega here? Where's some older Sega games?
Sega.
I
Sonic.
didn't mention. Sonic 1, Sonic 2.
You might have heard of them. Sonic 3 as well. Sonic and Knuckles was a pretty popular one.
So this company would just make ports. Every time a new console came out, they were like, hey, people are going to want to play these games. So PlayStation 3 comes out, they would make like a collection of all of these old Sega games. That was cool. I remember having one for Namco that was like, here's Pac-Man and Dig Dug and all this stuff, and you just kind of get all these games.
I love those, yeah.
Yeah, so she would make those, but with Sega, which was brilliant because she's making the ports to games that she made back then. So I couldn't think of it being in any better hands than like the person who made a lot of these to begin with.
Yeah.
Even down to today, the Nintendo Switch, their ports of Sonic and Phantasy Star are all done through her and that company.
That's awesome.
Which I'm like, hell yeah, keep getting it. This is amazing. So you could just go and play one of these games today if you have a Switch, which I'm very excited for. The mark that Reiko has left on the games industry is beautiful. She's widely regarded as one of the first female video game developers, and she was also dubbed in Nintendo Power magazine, which was huge back then, as the first lady of RPGs. She states that she does not design her games strictly for the female audience. She does avoid, however, including elements that treat women unfairly. Like, that's her philosophy of it.
Absolutely.
She's excited to see more and more girls growing up around video games, because that just means that more women are going to get into game making as a career, and that's only beneficial. In 2018, she received the Pioneer Award for her long and illustrious career, and there had been only other two people from Japan who had received that award at that time. So she's in a really good company. While she no longer directly creates art for games anymore, in her off time these days, she does like to make handcrafts. She likes to paint. And there is one more thing that has underlined her entire career that I feel like I have felt manifest itself through Phantasy Star and Seventh Dragon and all those games she's made. It makes sense. She's a big Dungeons and Dragons player.
Yeah.
Big. She is even quoted by saying that she is a particularly huge fan of Raslin Majere. Did I say that right?
I don't know.
Raslin?
Raslin, you said correct. I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
But Raslin from the Dragonlance series. So it's a pretty good company, Amanda, I'd say. Pretty good company.
I could talk about Raslin forever.
We need to get Reiko and you on call so you guys can just nerd out about Raslin. I want to be there.
Do you remember in Soulforge where he went into the tower and then he came out and he was an emotional scene with his brother, and it's really interesting because it's just the parallels between like the relationship.
But you also need to get Hassel on it, because Hassel's going to talk about wrestling. And then it's gonna be he's just not gonna understand the assignment. He's gonna be like, what do you mean?
I'm gonna show up in like full Ultimate Warrior gear.
Yes, face paint and all.
This is from the top rope.
No. You guys misunderstood me. I said the Ultimate Warrior. Like, I worry about people's safety in the ring.
Are you okay? Do you want me to hold that up for you?
Do you guys need a hug? You guys need a hug? Okay, 3 points of contact on that ladder.
What you don't realize is that Raslin has a twin brother, Karaman, and you're just full Karaman cosplay at this point.
What I love about the D&D tie-in is that one of her main goals, as she stated, is that when she goes to design like a cast of characters, she tries to create them with a cause to come together, regardless of race, gender, species, or even home planet. And that's something that's always been really unique about D&D, is you bring so many different walks of life together to just become like a family, and to complete your mission, your goal, your quest. And it's definitely been portrayed in all of her games that she's made. So hats off to Reiko Kodama, my Dragon of the Week for this week.
Very nice, sir. What a great way to kick off season 3.
Sports reference, kickoff.
Woo!
Thank you.
That doesn't count. That doesn't count, Troy.
Oh man! One of these days I'll be sports guy.
One of these days.
Wait, kickoff's a thing.
What?
Kickoff's a thing.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, it's a sports thing.
I can't step on Hassel's sports toes, even if it's correct.
Okay.
Right.
Right.
Got to stay in my lane.
All
sad cry games.
All sports references have to come to me first, so that I can stamp them.
Approval.
Yeah,
Okay.
I get
so it's like an icing rule. I get
a
it.
notary to go ahead and just stamp it at the same time. So
Okay.
like,
And if it's approved, then I can say it.
right.
Okay, understood. I'll remember that for next week.
Good notes. Good notes all around, guys. Good notes. We're learning still. Even though it's season 3, we're still figuring it out.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us for our season 3, episode 1, amazing spectacular.
Extravaganza.
Extravaganza. I feel so full. I've
Yeah.
learned so much today. Thank you all so much.
Yeah. So y'all, thank you so much for joining us. You can always find us online
To continue the conversation, you can always follow us online. Check us out on Twitter for the latest indie game news, on Instagram for updates and silly images, on Discord for daily discussions, and on Twitch for live gaming and just chatting all week long. We are at Taste of Dragons everywhere, and we'd love to hear from you.
Heck yeah. And y'all, thank you so much for joining us. As always, my name is Brian.
My name is Troy.
Amanda.
I'm Hassel.
And I'm Joe.
And we are
The
Taste of Dragons.
Have a great week, everyone. And a great season.
Yeah, 'tis the season.
So you know Indiana Jones is like a really terrible archaeologist, right?
Yeah, but he's got a cool hat.
So
Yeah,
is
but
season
of course,
4
he's
next week?
Absolutely the worst.
Did you hear
Season
the part about
4.
the hat?
Taste of Dragons Gaming Podcast, a podcast for everyone's taste.